Holla, holla. It's your boy, George Billionaire. Monday. What an amazing time it is. And you know, it's about 12 o'clock and we're on our way to Capital to hustle hard. And hustle hard, you know what we're trying to do? We're trying to provoke, inspire, and equip you. And today's topic is a great one. The word impossible is only a word that exists in the dictionary. But a lot of people have always told you this, and you hear it again from one of the wisest and amazing black presidents, former President Nelson Mandela says, it's only impossible until it is done. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. All those things that people deem to say were impossible were only impossible in their minds until somebody else did. So right, let's make our way to the studio. As always, subscribe, tune in, go and watch all the Hustle Hard series that are on the YouTube channel. I can tell you, you definitely will be PIE'd, provoked, inspired, and equipped. It's your boy. Let's go.
It off with a strong quote that was attributed to Nelson Mandela. The phrase is, "It always seems impossible until it's done." This quote encapsulates the idea that many challenges appear insurmountable at first glance, but with perseverance and effort, they can be overcome. So this is who we are talking about today. We are talking about you. At school, we are just talking about you. That if you set your mind to do something, it may look like it is impossible. Trust me, it is very possible. I think the thing that is hindering you at this point is that you are not trying other ways to do the thing. You tried one way, it failed, and then you quickly gave up. But George Billionaire is in the building to talk us through this whole quote that was attributed to the great Nelson Mandela. Mr. George Billionaire.
Holla, holla.
It's your boy.
It's your boy. With none other, Becky K. And a big shout out to all the pulsers here on Cappy Talk. Today is going to be a great day, Becky, because I can tell you after listening to this show, people are going to be transformed, renewed. Most importantly, they're going to be provoked, inspired, and equipped, because after today, people, I can guarantee you, are going to break records. People are going to do what was deemed impossible by others. But after this knowledge and wisdom they shall get today, they shall do mighty exploits. You know, Becky, I'm coming from a weekend where I'm very proud.
Of course.
Very proud.
You're proud
of my children, the amazing G's. And it was once upon a time deemed impossible at the Olympics to break the 5 kilometer at a certain time, the 400 meters at a certain time. But this weekend, my son, Gabriel, broke 2 records that were set earlier on in 1996 and another one in 1998.
Come on now.
And it's gone, so deep to that the people who broke this record were not people of our skin color. And at those times, the only thing that we were known not to be able to do were activities in the swimming pool. And it's amazing that my son broke, the 100-meter freestyle record and the 50-meter butterfly record by taking off amazing amount of seconds. And I can tell you that record, it's not going to be impossible to break, but it's going to take some time to break. And this is the thing in life. What was once deemed impossible, I can tell you, when somebody set that record many years ago, they may have said, it's going to be impossible to break this record. But now look, somebody has come because of sheer determination and a serious hard work ethic. And they've gone against what others would have said, but now has broken a record that somebody else would have said.
I like that. So for him, it wasn't like it's impossible. It might be difficult, but it can be done. It's not impossible though.
True.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, at the beginning of the term, he always looked at this time and he was always competing against. He was 2 seconds off. And it's that hard work and determination. So whatever people deem is impossible, the people who will tell you it's impossible are people who have not tried. to actually do that thing. Maybe they tried once and they failed. And they deemed, it's impossible. I can never achieve or amount to anything. But all things are possible to he who believes.
Right.
All things are possible to he who is willing to try harder, to do the extra on top of the ordinary, which will make him extraordinary.
Yeah.
And this is what this weekend was about. It was such an amazing weekend where, I saw a lot of people were shocked as he cruised through. When you look at that video, there was no time he was reducing speed.
We actually want to dwell on that video with this topic, that it always seems impossible until it's done. So if you want to know the video we're talking about, you're going to go to George's Instagram. Is it on Facebook also?
It's on Instagram.
On George's Instagram. I think he posted it like a few days ago over the weekend. You're going to see the video of his son swimming, competing against other swimmers, good swimmers at that. None of those guys you could say, good swimmer. No, they were all good.
Yeah.
So when you look at this video on the onset, they are all getting ready. They are on their mark. And you can tell that these are swimmers, these are athletes who have put in the work, they've put in the time, but there's only one of them who's put in extra time more than the others. There's only one who has actually gone the extra mile compared to all the others. The whistle blows off, the swimmers dive into the water, and they go. You watch the video, there's George and another
Gabriel.
There's Gabriel and another who is like tie to tie with him, and you're thinking, oh snap, right? And when they come back for the second lap, you're like, wait, where's the other guy who was swimming at the same pace as him? But you actually see that Gabriel has surpassed that speed. He's opened the gap, and he was literally swimming by himself at some point, while others were still touching the wall. And he was like, I'm on my third lap, y'all. Where you at? Yeah. Now, for someone who is in business, for someone who is thinking of setting themselves apart, pulling themselves away from generational delay, or pulling themselves away from poverty, from lack, or separating themselves from a mindset, we will all look like we're at the same level at some point. But there's something that we are doing that's going to set us apart. What are those things? That's then when you can say, no, it looks impossible until it is done. I did it.
True.
But and then I did it.
True that.
What are those things?
I think it's what you behold of yourself that matters. The image that you have of what you deem as success in your mind ultimately drives you to become different from everybody else. So when we look at my son Gabriel at the swimming gala, from a way time ago, he's been very fast, but he deliberately wanted to break the record, right? So there are many of us who, in our minds, what's your definition of success in your mind, right? What is it that drives you? What do you want to achieve? What is it that you consider to be you have arrived? And that's what differs people, because there are others who will be okay with their child just competing and being okay. At least he came in the top 5, right? There are others who are okay with that. There are people who are comfortable, Becky. We always talk about this. Earning a certain amount of salary, having a certain lifestyle, staying in this neighborhood, all of those things are what you behold. But to he or she who beholds or see them way bigger than everybody else, most of the time those people will actually become what they behold. And this is why in the Word of God it says, my people perish because they don't have a vision of the greater picture. I love in this once upon a time, they were said it's impossible for black people to become billionaires, right? And now here in Zimbabwe and in Africa, we've got a couple of billionaires, which means that we've broken the status quo of once upon a time that, listen, black people cannot do certain things. Once upon a time, entrepreneurs were only of another color other than us. And we were meant to strictly be workers on the job, and that's that. But all of that, due to time, has transitioned and changed. And this is where we need to get this realization that this word called impossible is a word which only exists in the dictionary of fools. Whenever you say something is impossible trust you me, it's because you have not tried. Because, like I said earlier on, all things, not some, all things are possible to he who believes, but most importantly, works hard towards whatever they want to achieve. So this mindset that people have become with, that, you know, entrepreneurs, no, I'll never be, if everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, who's going to be this, that, and the other. It's a mindset that has been so heavily embedded in your mind that makes you think that, no, this is not for me. You know, in this country, we've got amazing men of God. We've got Pastor Tom Dushel, who came all the way from America to start a church here in Zimbabwe, building people, building dreams. And look what he's done. He's built an amazing church in Borodale. We've got Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. Similar thing. I can tell you, when he began his ministry, so many people probably said it's not going to work. We've got Prophet Hubert Angel, who's also built an amazing building at Hippodrome. Get this correctly. At some point in time, people will say it's impossible for your ministry or for certain things to work out.
Right.
But it only exists to people who don't believe. Now, to he or she who believes, trust you me, Becky, anything is possible. Now, if you say to yourself, I love the word of God, it says, according to your faith, it shall be done unto you. So when people live this life that we are living, George says he wants to become a billionaire. Wow, that's great. That's George's self-fulfilling prophecy of what he wants. Others will say it's impossible. But guess what? According to what George beholds in his inner subconscious mind, he believes, listen, if I work hard at whatever it is I want to be, I ultimately will reach that. So the question to everybody listening, what do you behold about yourself? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to build? All these names and amazing entrepreneurs in the country had one thing in common. They wanted, number one, a better life. They wanted to bring alive a vision, a dream, a ministry, a business, a product, something. And when they began, others, they are always going to be the naysayers. But if you listen, especially to those people who never achieve anything, if you listen very closely, the people who have a lot to say, especially about you not going forward, actually don't have a lot that they have accomplished themselves. And this is why they are trying to instill their fears.
So you get people who've not done anything talking to people who are trying to do something and say,
That's exactly what's going to happen most of the time. Becky, you're a great example. For you to do this thing you're doing, many people said you will never ever be great in emceeing. And guess what? There are many people who were told you cannot. And that's what happens in life. People, I remember I spoke about the late Dr. Oliver Mtukuzu's father, who had failed as a musician, wanted to also hinder his son from becoming a musician because he had failed. So he was trying to live his experiences through his son. But unfortunately, that's not how things work.
No.
In this life we live, you know, I love this quote that goes on to say this. You know, there are people in this life who were sent on this planet for a purpose, right? And because of the opinions of parents, other people around, you will hinder that person becoming the person who's going to change so much in the universe had you not just hindered them from becoming what they're supposed to do. So the people's opinions has hindered so many people from giving birth to certain things because so many people around them said, you can't do this. And, you know, one of the parents said to me, your son is a result of the support, the encouragement, the wood you keep putting on his fire. When he used to not come first, you kept encouraging him. And now look, he's now a subtotal, breaking records now because guess what? His association was right. The words he was hearing were encouraging and he got that fuel. So there's no way he would have not broken the record because guess what? His association was right. And there are many people on this show, Becky, who say, George is always preaching entrepreneurship. He's always provoking us with the just over broke message. He's always telling us, careful, AI is coming. There are jobs that are going to be taken. And all these things are fact. All of these things are fact. But guess what? There's going to come a time, and we repeatedly say this to you. You are very comfortable where you are. But the day, the hour, the season, where you lose that thing you are only reliant on and only having one stream of income, will you get a serious awakening to say, you know what? I should have started. When you had that additional income, you could have invested, you could have built a little cottage on that piece of land, rather than now going back to your parents' house and liquidating this, that, and the other to try and go on with life.
Yes.
So there's a lot. And if only people would take heed of these important words that we are saying, to say that, you know what, impossible basically says I'm possible.
Yeah.
Because when God created you, he knew Becky, George are the solutions to the problems that the universe is facing. So let me send these gallant warriors to go and achieve what I've sent them to achieve.
And then the gallant warriors.
But then what happens when you come on this earth, Becky? And this is why a lot of people don't make it. And a lot of people have a lack of zeal and motivation and drive. Because Becky, once upon a time, before I started Pro Air, trust you me, it was deemed that I was going to fail. It was deemed, George never went to university.
No,
George doesn't have any educational background in air conditioning and refrigeration. There's no way it will work.
What does
Guess
he know?
what? George, so many people spoke, his friends, close family, but because of sheer determination and resilience, that's what separates the ones who become and the ones that get left behind. Just like you said, when we're going to school, we all look the same. We all wear the same uniform. But there's something that's done after what is called school, after a certain level of hunger and zeal that differentiates you or me.
True
there are
story.
certain things I've been exposed to, Becky, that I want in life that you haven't been exposed to.
Yeah.
So my hunger and my determination to run towards those things
Is more.
is because I saw something that I want. And people who are comfortable have not been exposed. Because I tell everybody watching us, listening to us, has things that they like and they want. But the only difference is, are you hungrier to get those things?
They're waiting for it to come to them.
Are you okay with driving the same car for 10 years? Are you okay with staying at the same location, having the same pair of shoes? Your kids asking you, why can't we go on holiday like so and so? All of it is a decision that one has to take. All these, it's impossible mindset needs to be deleted out of your mind.
Right.
And there's so much that people out there can be able to achieve only when they actually begin to believe. There's no one, Becky, in this planet who was born an entrepreneur. Nobody was born an entrepreneur. But because people saw an opportunity and they said, you know what, kusiri kufande kupi, let me try. And guess what? When they started walking towards that thing, they may have fallen down. They didn't stay down. They got back up. And guess what? Now they are different from you, who are saying, Kunzogo, in Zimbabwe, it's a harsh economy. Things, we're waiting for the perfect time to plant a seed. No, we'll do this when the economy stabilizes. Announcement, look around you. Look in your neighborhoods. Look around the country of Zimbabwe. Do you think things are not progressing because of the current situation?
Things are progressing.
There are people building. There are people expanding. There are people traveling. There are people right now living the life that they want because they chose to say, you know what? All things are possible. I just need to be determined. I just need to say, you know what? I don't want to be average. And all it takes is a mindset shift. And here on Hustle Hard, this is our message to people. If you don't change your mindset and you keep giving us all these many excuses, all these many reasons, all these many, I don't know what you call it, you will always remain where you are. And time will fly. And remember, we're in November now. It's already end of the year.
Yep.
There are others who have built houses and completed them. But if you do a self-retrospect analysis check on yourself, what have you accomplished since the year began? And that's the difference between you and me. There's somebody who is very deliberate, with wanting to achieve certain things. They are specific. They will work extra to make sure they achieve these. And then there's you on the other hand, chamuka inyama, whatever goes, happy go luck. But you who is like that will not achieve and amount to anything, and you will be surprised.
We've got questions, contributions, and comments coming through. It's 10 minutes to 1 o'clock. Perfect time for you to send through your questions to George. We are going to take a look again back at that video. Hansi, hey, George, Mawan. Yeah, I'm not so sure what is Mawan here at this point, but that's Mawan. Let's take a look back at that video. So, again, back at that starting line. Before they dive in, I'm trying to think what is going through Gabe's mind at that point. He doesn't know what all the other swimmers have put in. He doesn't know how much work the other swimmers have put in. All he knows is what he has put in, and that can either work in one's favor or work against you. So what are the practical steps an individual can take to encounter that seemingly an insurmountable challenge that they are facing? Like, because you are looking at this 100-meter length swimming pool or 50 meters, and you have to do a couple of laps to complete that challenge. But you're thinking, I know what I have done. I don't know what this one has up their sleeve. But I've got this thing is now like a challenge to me. Yes, and so people are going to face things like that. I know the work I'm putting in behind closed doors. I know why I've been driving the same car for the past 10 years. I'm working on something. Yeah, I know me. I know me. But I don't know what George, I don't know what Tinashe, what Tendai is doing. I don't know what they have done. But it seems like we're all pushing forward for something that we want. Do I let that hinder me, or do I just focus on me? What do I do?
The most important thing, I was reading this book and it was saying, never tell a child that something is impossible. Never. Because every single thing that grown-ups today are facing are a sum total result of habits that they grew up facing. So if your father and mother were very negative, they were quick to give up on things, they built a house and it was never completed, and all of that is going to haunt you by saying, if they didn't, I can't. You have to be able to affirm. And one thing, especially with this weekend, and I had a lot of retrospect, looking back and saying, wow, this guy beat this record because yes, he practiced, but also before we told him, listen, you can break this. Everybody was like, 1996, do you know who this guy is? He then went to the Olympics. You can never break this. But that's the talk. There are many people who are telling you there's no one in your family generation who has ever started a business and it has been successful. Iwewe ndio wadotanga nasi. Hakuna wekudzinza redu who's ever gotten married and stayed in a marriage 2 years. There's a lot of talk, but the most important thing is the positive affirmations. You speak to yourself, you speak to your children, you speak to all things around you. Because get it correctly, Becky, it's very difficult to change what is called habits. If somebody grew up with a very negative attitude, they are going to be okay being comfortable because Vakakura and their parents were comfortable staying in that place, and they had that one car, that Dansan 120Y from 1990 to 2000, and it's still there. But that's something that needs to be changed. So Chinochese Becky begins with a mindset shift.
Come on now.
You have to be renewed. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, and delete all this. It's impossible. Entrepreneurship is for those type. It's not for a selected few. It's only for those who are willing to have, to do, to fulfill their God-ordained purpose. Remember what I always say, if people saw the video that I saw when I went to heaven about myself, and God showed me, George, this is what you should do and achieve, and I came back, I was so motivated. But wait a minute, that's God's plans for me, therefore I can't relax, I need to push harder. But imagine, I'm now telling you that I went and saw that. That's the same visual graphics that God has for you. God is not going to be happy that where you grew up is where you died, that one car that you had is that you only lived in average life. God is going to be very disappointed. You had potential to go to 300 kilometers, but you drove easily at 40 kilometers per hour, and you thought you were okay. But there was so much capacity. There's so much you could have become. You could have become an international brand, but you only became a Glenora champion and you got comfortable in Glenora and you died in Glenora. So that's not the vision that God has for everybody listening today. God has a greater purpose for you. Don't see other successful people making it and think, all the things are possible. Chaunofana kungoitaka kuzvitemba nekuzvibhelieve because iwewewo from your neighborhood, from your family, from your city, from your town, you can also become the person who
you
is
can
going
come
to
out
be
from amongst them.
That's it, and you're going to be different. All it takes is the little extra on top of your ordinary. That's what sets people apart. It's a little bit, Becky. It's just a little,
not much.
Just a little bit. And guess what? And then you're going to be exactly what you want to be.
We got Ben Jr. Mwaki. He says, I'm the Pro Air brand ambassador at the airport. I'm tuned in and learning from Uncle George. Thank you so much, Ben Jr. With everything that you're talking about kids and parents, I don't know if you've watched the Michael Jordan movie called Air.
Yeah.
So there's a part where Nike then comes into the picture and his mom comes in as the bridge and says, yes, I know you want to work with my son, but contract here in your ass will make a sense. So this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And yes, mwana wangu wacha peka boots yes, the shoe will be named after him. But there's something that I'm not seeing on the contract. Maybe there's some omission. They wanted to just pay him out 250,000 from the whole deal. She's like, I want 250 trukutora, Benz trukutora, boots wacha peka. But pane pandisuona pa contract apa kutacha wana what percentage of the sales.
Come on.
And the dude from Nike is like, it doesn't work like that. And a shoe is just a shoe until my son wears it.
That's right.
So she saw value in her son. She bid and made sure that, no, you will not use my son's name.
That's it. And
you guys get all the benefits. I'm not saying he must get sales of all the Nike shoes. I'm just saying the shoe with his name
must have some certain percentage.
Something. It must, it must make sense.
True.
But now if you look at what that Air Jordan shoe makes and what it has done and how many people he has helped, because a certain percentage also goes to charity and then he gets a payout, Nike gets a pay, like everybody wins. But that negotiation was done because a parent believed in their child. And that brings to the point of association that you're always talking about. If you are not speaking to Gabe and telling him that you've got this, you can do this, focus. Just swim the lap, my guy, and you are halfway done.
True that.
Chingotangira uyu, kunda uyu jet. You've got this. And then you've got friends who are saying, Gabe, you're such a good swimmer, so he's surrounded himself with people of a positive mind. Back on that association thing, please hit it.
And it's so important. This is why I say exposure is everything. And you can tell that MJ's mother was very exposed. And back to Gabe, it's amazing now with all these things that are happening. Us as parents, also now there's a lot of things coming onto the table because of somebody's gift, and because of the right associates, you can get certain things. So wherever you are, get this correctly. Association is of paramount importance. Becky, I'll say this again. Association is of paramount importance. If ever you want to become great, associate with the greats. If you want to become different, stop hanging around with your childhood friends who you know everything about them. Hang around with people who will provoke you, inspire you, challenge you, tell you how they have achieved this. That way you go back different. I say this and I say it again. You don't know how poor you are until you've been to a rich man's house. Hang around people like that because it will poke certain things in you. You go back home and look at your walls. You look at your bed. You say, I need to repaint. I need to do this. No, I need to change. I need to go on holiday. Let me start locally. I need to buy a new car. I need to... Those things deliberately will force you to level up. But because of your constant associations with chickens, same age boys, the same type of people, there's no inspiration. There's nobody provoking you. There's nobody challenging you. And guess what? You're always going to have these sentiments that, no, this is for those type of people. No, these people, they stole money. They did this. You'll have all reasons. But get it correctly, all those people who are achieving and making great strides just had a little bit more hunger and a little harder work ethic than you. And they didn't strive on excuses. They decided to say, you know what? In this life, I'm going to make it.
True.
And I'm going to be the first in my family to break that jinx and become the person that I ultimately want to be.
Absolutely. We are a few days away from the year closing in on us. When is the next masterclass?
The next masterclass is the first week of December. It was amazing. There's a lot that's been happening. I was at the University of Zimbabwe. I'm going to be at churches. There's a lot that's happening in terms of me speaking and going out. So there's so much happening. But just go to my Instagram, George Billionaire, and the GB mentorship page, and people can be updated on the career guidance, the business growth consulting that we are giving people.
Wonderful. That's all we had time for on Hustle Hard with George Billionaire. It's 1 o'clock. Stand by for the news.
They should just like you.